My name is Jenny Whitener, and I am the CEO of Bridge Innovate. Welcome to today's special episode, actually. It's not our traditional Leaders in the Arena program, but today is a special episode. We're going to be test driving the Future Ready Leader series offered here at Bridge Innovate. So when we think about leadership, it's a core part of what we do at Bridge Innovate. Our focus, our mission, is to empower teams to lead, think, and problem solve differently. And I just want to, as we get into this segment today, this special episode, talk about this, that the challenges that our leaders are facing today are so significant, they're so complex. It really is our responsibility, those of us who are supporting and coaching the leadership of our organizations, to help them lead differently, to help them think about problem solving differently. It requires that today. And at Bridge Innovate, we spend a good amount of time working with leaders either on our consulting services, our leadership development programs, our future lab sprints using AI, or just providing a space. When we think about leadership, I want to start here. What does the data show us? And does it really make a difference if you invest in leadership development? According to this recent article that was published in Forbes based on a Gartner study, the top 10% of great leaders can actually drive significantly more revenue for the organization. And you look at the same study, and they're showing that the bottom 10%, those who are performing as leaders, can actually result in a loss of revenue for the organization. So we know that great leaders return a better results in terms of a profitability standpoint. And there are also studies that show that great leaders return profitability in terms of employee engagement, employee satisfaction, and client satisfaction as well. Let's go on to look at a result of a study done by Deloitte, the Global Human Capital Trends Survey, where they talked about that 94% of respondents believe that leadership capability effectiveness are as important or very important to the organization's success. So most everyone is saying leadership capability is critically important. However, most organizational leaders that participated in their survey, at least only 23%, said that they had the current capability necessary to manage in this disruptive, sort of boundaryless world that their leaders are facing. So generally speaking, there's consensus with executives around the globe that leadership development is important, 94%, yet only 23% of those same leaders say that they're ready, that their leaders in their organization are ready to lead in today's environment. So what do we do about that? Here at Bridge Innovate, we focus on building the leadership skills that are necessary to drive results. And we do that in partnership with a number of different corporations. Our current portfolio of leadership development is working with big corporates like Shaw and Unum. They're multi-billion-dollar corporations, as well as with Kenco, a major logistics company that's on a high growth pathway. We're also very involved in leadership development in the nonprofit arena with the United Way and with Mission Increase. So let's jump into what we call the Future Ready Leader. At Bridge Innovate, we focus on the following skill sets to really equip leaders to be ready to compete in today's arena. The first is just improving their overall leadership capability and their ability to lead teams. It's critically important that you have high degrees of trust and high degrees of capability on the leadership arena to mobilize the people equation in your organization. The second area that we focus on for the Future Ready Leader is innovation and change. With the disruption that we're finding today in the business place and the marketplace, organizations have to really use innovation every day. It's not something that we hand off to a group of leaders in the strategy department. We're continuously innovating to meet the market disruptions that we're facing in business today. And that common platform of skill of having an innovation mindset needs to be a tool that each leader today has. Once they identify an innovation, they have to be able to lead the change effort to mobilize that implementation. The third area that we focus on for leaders today is really around business acumen. There's so much that's been changing, and the rate of growth for a lot of leaders moving into new roles is that they're not familiar with the basic fundamentals of the business acumen arena, whether that's the financial reports, if it's around cost-benefit analysis, if it's around the marketing arena of cost to serve, if it's general strategic perspectives there on the business arena, but really focusing on building that business acumen. And the last component for the future-ready leader is really around strategy. As we see leaders get to move beyond the operational transaction component of the business and look more forward, that strategic perspective, the strategic decisioning capability really needs to come into play to build the skill in that arena for the future-ready leader. Here at Bridge Innovate, we offer a variety of programs across these 4 tracks, and we work with our partners, our clients, to identify what their needs are and then to select the portfolio program that's right for them. So at Bridge, why do we feel that we could be a great partner for you in leadership development? One is our background. We have over 30 years of experience in working with corporates, from Ernst & Young to Shaw Industries to Unum, and working in leadership development, as well as in the nonprofit sector. So we have been there, and our focus is really around what we call speed and fit. We want to make sure that as we're designing the leadership development program for you, that it's really designed in a custom way so that you're getting the right content with the right leaders to equip the right behaviors, right? So we don't want to waste people's time sitting in a canned program where they're listening to things that don't have any relevance for the organization. We want it to fit what your needs are, and we want to equip your leaders to immediately apply the new learning that they have. So speed and fit is really important. Experiential learning, very important. Most all of our projects have an immediate application to the business where they're taking what they're learning and they're applying it right away, and I'll be talking about that in a moment. We do a lot of feedback and peer learning environments where people are giving each other feedback, problem solving together. And then, of course, all of our content is research-based. For our future-ready leader programming, we think that faculty matters, right? And so you'll see a wide range of faculty leaders from different industry, many coming from the consulting arena where they've helped other executives and leaders transform their organization so they not only know the content, they've led change with key business partners throughout the United States and the world. And you also will see a range of faculty coming with different backgrounds from different academic institutions, whether it's the Air Force Academy or the Army War College or the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, or the University of Georgia Exec Ed Center or Northwestern. So we bring in a collection of faculty, again, based on the content that you select, then that faculty member would be there for you. In terms of my own background at Bridge Innovate, prior to launching the firm 20 plus years ago, I ran leadership development and all competency development for Ernst & Young. Their product, if you will, was intellectual capital. So it was a really important and an environment where there was a lot of pressure to have the best talent with the best knowledge and skills available to our clients. So I'm familiar with the arena and have had to do it for a number of different big corporates, from Ernst & Young to Capgemini to Prudential. So what's in this future-ready leadership portfolio? I won't go through everything today, but you can see for those of you who are joining us live on the webinar, that we have 2 types of learning that we connect in our future-ready leadership portfolio. One is what we call skill building, the Activate Skills series, and the other is a future lab, where we bring a group of leaders together and they learn by doing, where we do real work and do real learning to have real results immediately. So in the skill building arena, it's more gets comparable to a traditional training program where you would come in and join a cohort, go through a series of lectures and exercises to learn and develop new skills, whether it's around exemplary leadership or leading innovation, or the business acumen arena around driving operational and financial performance, or something in the strategic arena like strategic perspectives or strategic action. Those are all skill building programs that are available to you. And after today's program, we'll be sending out a summary of all of the offerings that we have for those who registered for today's program. On the Future Lab, it is an interactive workshop where we actually ask you to bring a challenge. So instead of just learning about customer journey mapping, we're going to do customer journey mapping. And by doing customer journey mapping for your customer, the participants will learn customer journey mapping, and you'll also have an end product of a customer journey map. If you are looking to do a competitor analysis, instead of teaching you how to do that, we'll actually do one together, enabled by generative AI. If you're looking to build strategic perspective, maybe it's an opportunity to take a cohort through a strategy refresh, taking your current strategy and refreshing that based on the market forces, the competitive threats that you're feeling today. So again, what we do in the Future Lab is ask you to bring a challenge, and we combine learning and doing so that you learn and you actually create work product all at the same time. So let me give you a couple of examples of these programs in our session today. We recently had the opportunity to do the Exemplary Leaders Program for the Cabinet of Covenant College. And in this program, there was several new members to their cabinet. They had a new president, they had a new vice president of operations, and the team really wanted to have a program that brought them together as a leadership team to understand how each of them bring their own strengths to that leadership team and how they could improve their overall collective effectiveness. We went through the 5 practices of exemplary leadership from the Leadership Challenge, and we used the Leadership Practices Inventory 360 tool as an instrument to get 360-degree feedback for each leader using a survey, an online survey, so that they came into the program with new perspective, understanding how they saw themselves across these leadership behaviors. But then how did their managers see them? How did their peers see them? How did their subordinates see them across these different dimensions of model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart? If you know the great work of James Kouzes and Perry Posner that wrote the Leadership Challenge, they interviewed thousands of leaders who were considered to be at their very best, to be exemplary, in fact. And based on those interviews, identified the behaviors that those leaders exhibited to create the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. And that's what we take teams through in this program. We talk about the leadership fundamentals there. We talk about the leadership challenges of focus around mobilizing people to create extraordinary results and uniting people to turn challenges into success. So this concept of great leadership and how it really is being a leader that's worthy of followership, about mobilizing people and uniting them to do great things together. That's the focus of the Exemplary Leaders Program. During this session, we go through a number of different evaluations around characteristics of great leaders. Here's an example of asking the team to identify characteristics that people would willingly follow. If you're a leader that would willingly follow, what would be the characteristics? And based on that result, interestingly enough, across a number of different surveys, the top characteristic that people look for a leader that they would willingly follow is honesty. Do you have the integrity? Do you have the honesty to be straight with me about where I stand, about the goals that I need to do, about the work ahead, about the challenges ahead? People, our teams today, are looking for leaders that they can trust, that they can have an honest relationship with. The second most important characteristic for leaders that people would willingly follow is competence. Do you know your arena? If you're in the financial services arena, do you understand that? Are you leading the way with the knowledge base and the skill base of the financial services arena? If you're in the 3PL business, if you are in the manufacturing business, people today want to know that their leaders are competent in the arena in which they're working. The next 2 are almost tied hand in hand in terms of the characteristics that leaders would willingly follow. The next one is inspiring. Is it inspiring to be with this team? Is it inspiring to be with your organization? Do I understand where we're headed? Is the vision of where we're heading compelling? Is this somewhere I want to go? I want to go with this team. And the next one is forward-looking. Teams look to their great leaders to say, where are we headed? What is the forward view of where this organization and where this team is focused in order to achieve great results? So these are the characteristics that we look into in great depth, along with the behaviors of the 5 exemplary leaders. The next example I wanted to share with you today in this test drive on the Future Ready Leader is a session that we designed for a multi-billion-dollar corporation that is focused on moving from a product-centric company to a customer-centric company. And they wanted a design thinking and leading innovation module that would help their leaders understand the difference of being product-centric to being customer-centric. And so in that programming, we came with them, along with the University of Georgia Exec Ed Center, to put together this program that helped leaders understand the advantages of employing a design thinking approach versus a traditional approach to problem solving. And we know, and what we teach in this module, is that design thinking is very human-centered. It's really based on what the customer needs or wants, what the people of the organization are advocating are important to them. It focuses on customer feedback, and it's based on evidence. In fact, one of the great leaders of human-centric design and customer centricity is the late Steve Jobs. And Steve was known for this quote, "You've got to start with a customer experience and work back towards the technology, not the other way around." He was very customer-centric, and many of his innovations, he anticipated what customers need. He asked them, he spent time with them, his teams observed customers, and they anticipated the next new innovation that they knew that the customer would need. And he focused on that with the great products that he brought to the marketplace and the customer experience that he enabled. So we bring data in this workshop around what does the result of a customer experience or customer-centric company bring forward. And according to McKinsey & Company and some of the research they brought in, companies that focus on customer experience tend to have 2 times the amount of growth than those who do not. So the result is in that if you'll focus on that customer experience and win with that with your customers, growth is at hand. We illustrate the design thinking process and the different steps the organization needs to go through, from gathering inspiration and empathy, forming insights to identify key opportunities for your customers, brainstorming solutions, creating prototypes for those opportunities, going through the experiment, test, and learn phase, and then in terms of mobilizing that solution into a customer experience. We also spend time in this segment looking at Keeley's 10 types of innovation. From a customer centricity standpoint, most organizations will focus just on product. We have to open up the aperture, open up that lens of perspective around innovation to the 10 types of innovation that Keeley talks to us about. It could be profit model innovation. It could be structure or process innovation. It could be the product itself. It could be the customer experience or how you're going to market through channels or with a brand or the customer engagement arena. We take leaders through an exercise to analyze their own innovation portfolio, to analyze their market competitors' innovation portfolio and where they're competing, and then to build a perspective around where their innovation portfolio needs to be for the future. So throughout this program, they'll learn a lot about seeing how innovation can equip them to be customer-centric. The last program that I wanted to cover for you in an example of today's test drive, a Future Leader program, has to do with a program we've recently developed for Kenco Logistics. Kenco's in a high growth mode where they're going through a number of acquisitions and really capitalizing on investment to grow their market. They have a leadership development program where they've asked us to partner with them in building leadership capability in the strategic decisioning and in the mergers and acquisition portfolio. What we've done with them is put together a custom offering that helps them look at merger and acquisition integration. Because of their high growth, they need leaders to understand how to integrate a new acquisition quickly into the organization to capitalize on the value that was expected from that acquisition. So we go through a number of different aspects of understanding the M&A, understanding the integration planning, understanding change management. And then we also take them through in a separate module around strategic decisioning, help them look at strategic foresight. What are the macro trends impacting their arena, impacting their marketplace, helping them go through a foresight analysis, and then also going through a number of different strategic decisioning models. How will they need to help make decisions in the future as a part of a strategic leadership team versus how they're making decisions today as operational leaders? Very exciting, very fun work. We use AI throughout the process to help them explore those trends. Here's an example of the strategic decisioning agenda, where we help them go through strategic foresight using a pestle tool where we look at political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental trends. We don't operate in a vacuum. We have to understand strategically what is happening across those arenas to open up the aperture of the strategic leader and help them imagine new possible futures based on those trends. When we look at other tools like SWOT in order to understand what's happening directly with their competitors. So in that pestle scan, we'll show them that. We'll put them into teams, allow them to explore using generative AI, how to go into ChatGPT and do a SWOT analysis or a pestle analysis. We give them sample prompts that are based on best practice using generative AI. And what we find is very, very quickly, most all the leaders now start to use generative AI as a companion in gathering data and looking at source information to equip them in making decisions each day. So as a result of today's test drive, we'll be sending you an overview of the programs that we have available, and we hope that you'll be in touch with us to see how we can customize a portfolio for your organization. In addition to the great faculty that Bridge brings in, we have a number of certifications and a number of leading instruments across the field of leadership development that we bring, from the Leadership Challenge to the LPI 360 to the 5 behaviors to the Change Style Indicator and beyond. We work with our clients to put together the right type of delivery mechanism, whether that's for in-person or virtual sessions. We like to then do business accelerators or our future lab programs in the form of sprints. So I want to thank you so much for being with us today. I would just say that if you're looking for a leadership development partner, we would love to talk with you and to talk more about the results of our programs. In our track record, we know that the work that we're doing is having impact. At Bridge Innovate, we measure every time our leadership programming. We have a high degree of satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 10. On average, our participants are rating our programs a 9.5. And we're also seeing a significant confidence and knowledge gain reported in our measurement approach with our participants, where they're rating their knowledge, let's say in strategic perspectives before they come in, and their knowledge and confidence after the program, seeing a huge growth there of almost 80% just in the short period of time that we're with them in the content areas that we're focused. We measure that using survey methodology that's self-reported by the participant. So thank you so much for being with us today on this special episode of Leaders in the Arena. Great leadership matters. If you invest in great leadership, you'll have a better return, both financially for your organization, as well as with satisfaction and engagement with your teams. So don't dally. Let's get started. Feel free to reach out to me, Jenny Whitener, at jenny.whitener@bridgeinnovate.com or at our hello@bridgeinnovate.com. I'm happy to set up a one-to-one with you, talk more about these programs and how we may be able to be a partner for you in creating the next generation of leadership at your organization. Thanks so much for joining us, and it's been great having you all here today. Thank you. Bye-bye.